This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Free for all Friday.
Free for all.
204-780-6868. 204-780.
Free for all.
6868.
Friday. Free for all. I told you this story in that Sobeys parking lot months ago, all right?
Yeah, you did.
Young
You wanna
man
join?
with his 8 or 9 year old son just yelled, "Free for all Friday!" And it was Friday. I was getting some
This happened
groceries.
to be on Free for All Friday. So if you see Jim Toth grocery shopping, why don't you just yell at him? Anything you want.
I get asked about the power play a lot. Drives my partner nuts. Can we just get the Cheerios?
I don't want to talk about the power
These
play.
people listen to the show, hon.
I'm at work.
Give them some respect.
Yeah. I'm trying to put the
Plus,
Cheerios back on the shelf.
I think he just figured it out. He's got a good point. I think that would work on the power play.
Trying to pull out some Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
You get approached a lot about the Jets?
No, never. I'm anonymous enough that no one ever bothers me, which I like.
I was at spring hockey last night with my son, and one of the dads said, "You probably get tired of talking about it, but what'd you think of the officiating?" I'm like, I don't get tired of talking about it. That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
It's always good to hear from our listeners. We're going to hear today on Free for All Friday.
204-780-6868. Give us a call. Jets at Noon brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. We're coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio. Try the new Triple Pep Pizza only at Boston Pizza. Of course, hey, it could go to a texter, but as usual on Free for All Friday, if you pick up the phone, and give
What
us
is
a
that
call.
from?
I still don't know.
I never
We haven't
did.
talked about
you know
that
what?
for a while.
You
We
shouldn't
haven't
have done
found
that
out.
because that drove me crazy trying to figure it out. And now it's back in my head. I'll spend all weekend trying to figure it out.
It is a much higher likelihood that if you give us a great take on the phone line, whether you agree with us, whether you don't agree with us, or you just want to talk about something else in the world of hockey, you might end up winning that car wash. So, but we take text messages like this one, Jim. This one's from Kevin, who specifically goes after you, Jim. He says, Jim, as I mentioned Wednesday, why would Ehlers stay? He deserves to be on a number one line. Before this season, everyone wanted KC moved to the line, second line. Well, not everybody, because I didn't think that.
I didn't. Who did?
He said, before this season, everybody wanted KC moved to line two because the previous season when KC was injured, Ehlers and Scheifele's numbers were better than 81 and 55 together. Of course, 55 is Mark Scheifele's number. 81 is Kyle Connor's. Ehlers makes players better around him. Love 27, which is Ehlers' number, but he deserves to be on a number one line, and that will never happen here. By the way, my car is still dirty, and I'm looking for romance. That one from Kevin. Well, Kevin, you threw your hat in the ring. You're up for the car wash as of right now, but
You're up for it,
you might be knocked down. You never know how this day is going to go. But Jim, what do you say about that? He's specifically targeting you on that one.
Well, here's the thing again. As I said yesterday, Kyle Connor is a top-line winger in the National Hockey League. He's an elite scorer. He will be. I don't know if people keep saying, well, Ehlers is better up there because he'll be better up there or not. If Ehlers is such an elite player, why didn't the second line produce more this year?
It's a fair point.
I didn't hear anything. I don't hear anything. 780-6868 if you want to call in and weigh in on this. The number one line with Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and here we go with the stats, right?
Yeah.
And the analytics of it. That line performed better with Nick Ehlers on it. For how long and for when and where? Fair enough. If you put 20 games together, there's stats that look really good. Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Gabe Vilardi were the highest scoring line in the National Hockey League this year in the regular season. But yet we're still trying to fix it, right?
Yeah.
We're still trying to get Ehlers up there, and we're still trying to. If Ehlers is, and again, this is why I hate doing this, because it makes it sound like I don't like Ehlers as a player, and I do. But if Ehlers is so, what's the line for that movie? If Ehlers is so fantastic, then why didn't he get Nemestikov to be better? Why didn't he get Perfetti to kick in before he kicked in?
Yeah. Well,
I used to say this about Patrick Laine. If Patrick Laine is a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent, then why does he need to have better players around him? Why isn't he making the players around him better?
Yeah.
Because we love to do this, right? We love to say, oh, generational player.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't heard that about Ehlers, but I've heard that about Laine, and I used to beat my head against the wall. He wasn't even the number one right winger on this team. But he's a generational talent. Well, then why isn't he making everybody on his line better?
Yeah,
that's what generational talents do.
It's a fair comment here, and
here we go. Ehlers.
But this conversation is not going anywhere, Jim. We're going to be having it, and again, if it depends on what happens this season and this offseason.
41 goals, 97 points in 82 regular season games, and you want to take Kyle Connor off that line and put Nick Ehlers there. Why? Because you're going to tell me Nick Ehlers will have 42 goals and 98 points? Stop trying to fix something that doesn't need to be fixed.
Well, and Jim, it boils down to this, right? So why is Kyle Connor on the first line and Nick Ehlers is on the second line? Well, I think it has a lot to do with the chemistry that Mark Scheifele and the preference that Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele have playing together. I think it is a big part of it. But over the last 4 seasons, Kyle Connor has gone over 40 goals twice. 47, 31, 34, 41.
He is a career 30-goal scorer. Career.
Yeah, third, like on average. Like,
no, not even. The 1 year he didn't, it was a 56-game season. He had 26. If you add 20 games or 18 more games, 20 plus games to that 56, he'll have 4 more goals, I promise you. He is a career 30-goal scorer.
So over the last 4 seasons, Kyle Connor has scored 0.49% of the, so 49% of the time in a game, Kyle Connor has found the back of the net. So once every 2 games, essentially, almost. That's pretty dang good. Nikolai Ehlers is a third of the time over the last 4 seasons, and I looked at the games and I averaged the games out because I know Ehlers played less. He was 0.34, so he scored every third game, right? So
but
that's a huge difference.
Line, Cam, he'll score more.
Okay.
If he's with these guys, he'll score more.
Yeah. I don't buy that.
I don't buy it either. I like Nick Ehlers. I think he can get 70 points into a season. I think he can. Mm-hmm. But why are you taking, again, 97 points in 82 games? Why are you taking Kyle Connor off that line?
Call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Dig into the new Triple Pep Pizza and Double Trouble Nachos. Available now only at Boston Pizza. The number one caller today that we've been collecting them all throughout the week will be awarded a $50 gift certificate to Boston Pizza on Friday. Be like Blaine, who called in to that number.
Yeah, hey, I was just wanting to add a comment about the playoff run. I think one of the bottom lines, too, is injuries finally caught up to us, the ones that happened later in the year and especially during playoff time. And I think that made a big thing for the playoff push, too. We were relying too much on our secondary support. Pretty tough to do when you lose your star players. Thanks.
Well, I mean, missing Mark Scheifele for a portion of the season against series against St. Louis, that definitely had an impact. Missing Gabriel Velarde, missing Nick Ehlers, missing Josh Morrissey. Well, I don't think it was necessarily the reason why the Winnipeg Jets weren't able to beat the Dallas Stars. The Stars were missing a lot of their key players too, and guys coming back from injury. You can't sit here and say it did not play a factor when you have those 4 guys missing off the lineup. And those are big time players for this team.
Yeah, and definitely for sure. So
yeah. Let's go to the lines. Hey, Peter's on the line. Hey, Peter, what's up? You're on Free For All Friday.
Hi.
Hey.
So I'm just phoning to say that the Jets, they're just not a good enough playoff team. All the teams that are left right now have a way better second line center. Like, that's just right away. They need to fix something there right away. Like, if they ever expect to get the Stanley Cup, they're going to need, like, something that's a big difference from Nemestikov because he's not near good enough.
Okay, so do you think the Jets get that second line center? Okay, do you think that then they become a team that in your words is ready and prepared for the playoffs?
Well, it depends who it is.
Okay.
They need
but the problem, Peter, is you have to say who it is. Like, we can say he can get a second line center. Well, who then? And I'm not harping on you, but we always say they need this, they need that. I think Cheveldayoff knows they need that, and they can't get it.
Well, I think they tried to do it at the deadline, but it just didn't materialize.
No one wants to come here because they know the chance of getting a Stanley Cup is pretty small. And Kevin Cheveldayoff isn't he's not that super. His 2 ads at the I heard this year he'll do whatever it takes. This is the year to get the Stanley Cup and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And at the trade deadline, what did he do? Tanev, what did he do in the playoffs? Shed,
Well,
what did he do in the
Peter,
playoffs?
I mean,
Not
there's,
much.
I mean,
Peter,
we,
but what did he try to do, Peter?
yeah, you don't know what
What did they
did.
try
What
to do? Well,
you don't know what
You're
didn't
sitting here
hit.
assuming that.
Teams that get Stanley Cups do big things like Dallas. Rantanen, look what he's doing for them.
You
He thought
never
about it
in a
first
million
series.
years we're
He
going to
thought
get
about it
Rantanen in here,
second
Peter.
series.
That was never going to
Peter,
happen.
do you think Rantanen's
I'm
going
not
to?
saying he's
Why
gonna
don't the
come
Jets
back.
trade for Leon Draisaitl? Maybe they can get Sidney
He's not
Crosby
gonna
on the
want to
team
come here.
too.
He's
Well,
not gonna
he's
want to
not.
come
Why
here.
wouldn't he? Why? Okay, he doesn't want to come here. That's right. That's exactly right, Peter.
You know they
Well,
went
you
after.
know,
You know
when
they
you're-
went after Brock
you're
Nelson, and
putting
Brock
down-
Nelson said he wanted to go to Colorado, right? So right there was him trying to bring in a second line center, and he didn't want to come here.
Because there's not good enough players here.
That's not why.
No, that's not why.
You're telling me the number one team in the National Hockey League doesn't have good enough players?
And another thing is they're the number one.
No,
regular-
Peter, you're telling me that. Are you telling me that the number one team in the National Hockey League didn't have good enough players that Brock Nelson didn't
The
want to
number
come here
one
because of the
regular-
players?
the number one regular season team.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Regular season and playoffs is nothing.
And
Look
the
at
trade
Florida.
deadline is in the regular season. So why didn't Brock Nelson want to come here?
The trade deadline is all for the playoffs.
Okay. Thanks, Peter. I think we got your point. Yeah. 204-780-6868.
Thanks for the call, Pete.
Yeah, appreciate the call. Let's take a break. Let's come back on the other side. We're going to be hearing a lot of that, Jim. All off season, regular season, playoffs. They are different animals.
Here's the other big
They are different
misnomer of
animals.
players being blocked in this organization. The other misnomer that bothers me the most, Cheveldayoff doesn't do anything.
Yeah. It's a little bit frustrating.
Just because nothing gets done doesn't mean he's not trying to do things. I don't think players of Brock Nelson's ilk, of Seth Jones's ilk, come to market and he goes, that's not for us. I won't even bother.
Well, that's the thing. Like big teams take big
let's get
swings.
over that, all right?
Yeah, big teams big swings was Peter's point there. Bringing Mikko Rantanen. Well, Dallas brought Mikko Rantanen. Well, he was never going to come here, so it's not even worth a conversation because that just was.
He
it was
wouldn't
a
even go to
0
Toronto.
It was a 0% chance. Mikko Rantanen coming to Winnipeg was as likely as the Winnipeg Jets acquiring Sidney Crosby at the trade deadline or Leon Draisaitl. We'll be right back. More calls after this.
Or Brock Nelson.
Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Hey, Al, you're on Free For All Friday. We only got about a minute or so try and bring brevity, Al. What's on your mind?
Okay. Tage Thompson, picked after Stanley and our second overall pick.
Patrick Laine.
Lonnie, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Tage Thompson picked way back there, and we could have had him instead of those two.
It would be nice. Yeah, but listen, I mean,
he's a 40-goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, but the draft. Yeah, draft is the draft, right? There's always players like Connor Hellebuck went in the 4th round. I mean, every team would have.
I mean, Laine paid off when he was here. Way over
Tage
Thompson.
Not with him.
And Logan.
I mean, Adam Lowry was Adam Lowry, was he a 3rd or 4th round pick? He was a 3rd round pick.
And Logan Stanley, they wanted a D-man, so they weren't going to take a forward with their second first round pick.
Yeah,
so bad they didn't get a D-man.
Yeah. well, listen.
Free for all Friday, Al.
Free for all Friday,
Get it out, buddy.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. But listen, we hear this about the draft, and that's fine. This comes up all the time. That was a good line. But
how do you think Connor would do on the second line?
Kyle?
Yeah.
I don't think about it. I'm
he's
sorry.
Not,
I don't think about it.
on the second line. I
don't want to think about it. That's what he meant. You don't want to think about it.
I don't want to. I don't know why I would when he just put up 97 points. It's like asking me what
Oilers would have done.
It's like asking me, what do you think McDavid would be like as a checking center? I don't know. Why would I think about that?
Why would you take your best shooter and put him on the second line?
Sorry, finish that thought, Al.
How's Connor's zone entry compared to the Oilers?
Okay. All right, Al.
Well, who's entering the zone for him to put up 97 points?
We'll be right back. More your calls after this.
How's Kyle's 97 or Euler's 97 points with all those zone entries? Oh, they don't exist.
Welcome back to the show, 204-780-6868. Phone lines are jammed.
Free for all.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. Hey, that VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. Ticket to Romance, 204-780-6868. Still up for grabs. Haven't handed that off. We're coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio. Try the new Triple Pep Pizza. Only at Boston Pizza.
Triple Pep.
We got to go to Mike. Hey, Mike, thanks for the call.
Gentlemen, thank you. First of all, Chevy's doing a great job. So I don't want to hear criticism. But I direct you to Pat Summitt's 12 definitive rules, and one of them is change is a must. And it recognizes that you have to change and evolve to improve. So that describes the Jets to a T. So frankly, I'm really looking to them to incorporate some of the younger prospects they have, like a Lambert, like a Solomonson. You've got a whole season to do that. And frankly, I think it's fair to say that regular season performance hasn't always translated into playoff success.
Correct.
So frankly, I think I'm willing to take a step back in the season. So when I hear stories about, would you trust these players in a regular season? Frankly, regular season performance hasn't really mattered all that much, provided you're in the playoffs. And I really don't see the Jets taking a big enough step back if they take some risk by letting these players develop like they did with Perfetti. So I just think the Jets need to really look at their developmental model and look at some changes, especially if they can't keep in the Oilers.
Yeah.
So keep them.
Yeah, Mike. Change in terms of next year, would you put like a Braden Yeager on the second line and have Cole Perfetti on the second line as well, and then have maybe Nikita Chibrikov and Brad Lambert fight over that last winger spot there on that line? Would you do something like that?
I've seen nothing that says Yeager's ready, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that, I'm not sure why. I understand that some people are disappointed in Lambert, and that seems to elevate Yeager. But if I look at Yeager in isolation, I can't say I've seen enough.
Okay.
That he doesn't need some AHL seasoning. And look, Lambert didn't dominate at the AHL as you hoped. I don't think that means let's give him more time in the A. I think it's time to see what he can do at a higher level and work him in and give him chances on power play and selectively on second line.
So Mike, sorry, we got lots of calls here. Yeah. So So I don't mean to rush you here, but second line center, what would you do to fix that issue?
I mean, look, I like Nemestikov. Sure, it is an ongoing search. Whether it's Nemestikov, you go back to when Little first got hurt, they've had a developmental problem with a second-line center for an indefinite period of time, and that's not a huge criticism of Nemestikov. That's just realizing that to get the best out of that line, one area of potential improvement is there, because I love Nemestikov, so they just need to keep looking. I don't have an answer.
Okay. All right, fair enough, Mike.
Brock Nelson was a good choice to try to get. I believe that was a good attempt, but I don't have an answer for you. I'd be lying if I said I did.
He's a free agent, right?
Yeah, he's UFA. Yeah.
You can make a run at him now too.
Wishing would say Jonathan Toews makes this miraculous comeback and wins a cup in his home city, but again, that's I think a bit of a pipe dream. I just think it is a priority. You need to look, and Chevy has proven that he can do a nice job. That's what the deadline is also for. So let's give it another season.
Mike, do you want a car wash? Mike, do you want a car wash?
Would love a car wash.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to pop you on hold. We'll get to talk to Jeffrey Fortier, producer. Great call.
And romance, Mike. Thanks.
Ticket to romance. We're going to bring Tom on the line. Hey, Tom.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. What's up, dude?
Hey, first of all, congratulations, Chevy, for his nomination for GM of the Year. That guy's got the hardest GM job in North American pro sports, and it's not even close.
I would agree with that.
I agree, yeah.
But to the second line center position, do you think him and the minds above have thought of maybe offer sheeting somebody like an RFA?
That's an interesting point, Tom.
I think offer sheets are going to be more prevalent. I really do.
Like a Mason McTavish, Marco Rossi, something like that.
I don't know about Rossi, but I mean,
Rossi's kind of been building though. He's been gotten better and better every year.
See, here's the thing about offer sheets too, though, is the player has to want to do it, right? So it's not just about the money. Say McTavish is being offered $3 million or whatever by Anaheim, and you go, I'll give you 5 or 6 over 6 years. Then he's got to want to come to Winnipeg, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's an interesting point. I mean, maybe the answer. Thanks for the call, Tom. I appreciate it. Yeah. Maybe the answer is, beyond sort of like as Mike was saying before, fingers crossed, maybe Braden Yager is the answer next year, which I kind of agree with him. I think he probably needs some time with the Manitoba Moose. And the Jets are not a team that rushes players that are not ready yet. I mean, but if they are ready, they do throw them in the lineup.
I talked to some people because he got traded to the Lethbridge Hurricanes and finished the junior season there. And my friend said that he might not have lit it up in the playoffs, but he did really well defensively as a center. Like he was as a checking center, and he was very responsible and exited the zone and stuff like that, which I think is what the Jets told him to do, right, to work on, because everybody knows he can light the lamp. So I asked him, I said, what did you think of him, and why weren't the points piling up? And he said, well, but two guys said that he looked good, like an all-round 200-foot center.
Yeah. Let's bring Ron R. on the line. Hey, Ron, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. What's on your mind?
Ron?
What's on your mind, dude?
Good. I was just thinking, like, for the playoffs, our third line plays too much. Like, we need the second line and first line out more so we can score more goals, right?
The third line play is on the ice too often?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they play a lot because they play the top line a lot. Like, that's the problem, right? If you want to offset that, you got to get your number one line playing another team's number one line more.
Yeah, so like in game one against Dallas.
Or the second line playing the number one line more.
So when Rantanen he scored 2 of his goals during that game when he went up against the fourth line, right? Because he double shifted him. Lowry's line did a great job of handling Rantanen. And they did, I think, there was obviously some instances you can't shut a guy down like that. But they when the Jets had the matchup they wanted, I mean, they shut out Dallas both games in Winnipeg.
Maybe this is what you're saying, Ron, but this is what, like I said all year, they're deep. This is a very, very deep team. And they are. Mm-hmm. They need some more scoring, though. Like, they need the idea of a Sam Bennett, right? Who's a third-line guy, but yet he's putting up probably second-line points. Now, every team wants that. Dallas has that, right? Like, Wyatt Johnson is on the third line in Dallas. That's a top line. Yeah, that's a top line guy on 10 teams.
That's a guy who could be.
That's a top 6 guy on 20 teams.
That's a guy who could be on Team Canada at the Olympics. Very, very has a great opportunity.
I do think, like, if Appleton's gone, I would see them hopefully spending $4 to $5 million on a third line guy that can put up 30 goals. Sorry, Al. Ron?
I said I'm not an Appleton fan anyway, so you can go.
Well, listen, the thing about Appleton is you got to deal with Kyle Connor's contract first. You got to deal with Velarde's contract first. You got to deal with Sandberg's contract first. You got to see if you're going to re-sign Ehlers, Adam Lowry.
He can replace.
So like I think you have to deal with several players before you get to Mason Appleton. That's my opinion on that one. Thanks a lot for the call, Ron. Appreciate it.
I do the opposite. It's usually the Appletons that sign at $2 million and.
Wow.
But we'll see. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens there. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at noon hotline open 24/7 204-780-6800. Dig into the new triple pep pizza and the double trouble nachos. Available now only at Boston Pizza. Hey, we're going to reward that number one caller is going to get that $50 gift certificate to Boston Pizza on Friday. Call the show like this. Call the number like this guy did.
The Jets need an enforcer or two. Other teams have no problem running Scheifele or Ehlers or Connor or any of or Morrissey or Pionk. Okay, if you get your stars run, you got to take out some of their stars. Okay, thank you.
That's from Caller X, who's. I wish I could put him in the running for the Boston Pizza $50 gift certificate, but they didn't leave a name. So Caller X, you can be like that guy. What do you think of that, Jim? Do the Jets need an enforcer?
No.
I agree. I don't think they do as well.
If they got one, great. But my idea of an enforcer is Tom Wilson, who plays on a top line.
Yeah.
So if they grab somebody like that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. Hey, Bo, welcome to the show. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, you guys just said it best. We need, I know we had Kane here, but Kane would look pretty good back in a Winnipeg uniform.
Evander Kane?
Yes. The way he plays, the Jets, like what the guy was saying, I agreed with him in a bit. Scheifele got pushed around. Ben pushed him around. Nobody went in after him. We don't have anybody like that. Or a Corey Perry. I'm not talking about Corey Perry of old. I mean, when he first started. But now we don't have anybody like that. A Maroon would be nice. I know they're hard to find, but that's what the Jets need to make it to the next step. They need those playoff
gritty guys, and we don't have it. We don't have any of those guys on the team. Yes, but we need Laurie on the ice, though, so you can't afford to take penalties and whatnot.
Yeah, like a Sam Bennett or somebody like that. I don't think that would. Having a guy like that, I don't think would be a minus. But Sam Bennett's not going anywhere.
I know they're hard to come by, but I just honestly,
Sam
that's
Bennett's
what they
a
need.
UFA, but there are teams like Toronto that'll open the bank for him.
He's not going.
Yeah, I know the people here hate Kane. I know, but the way he plays, that's what we need here. We need a guy or two like that, and I think and obviously a second line.
You need a rat. The Jets need a rat. Thanks a lot, Bo. Appreciate the call.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know about Kane being a fit back here ever, but I don't defend him, but when I was there daily, he never took a practice off. He goes.
You've made this point a lot of times that there's a lot of players on the Florida Panthers that Paul Maurice wishes he had on this team.
Yeah, I think that
just like willing to, I don't know if it's willing. That's not the right answer. Is willing to do something, but have that characteristic. I'll say a certain characteristic that is very prevalent on the Florida Panthers. I think Paul Maurice wishes, you've said this, he had those specific characteristics on some players on this team.
Well, he calls them gamers, right? Like we make fun of it.
Yeah. But he's a gamer.
They traded 100-point forward, and a top 4 D-man who's now developed into a top pairing D-man to get a gamer into Chuck. Paul Maurice loves that kind of player, and they're doing well with it.
Let's go to Fish. Hey, Fish, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey, boys. First off, I'm just so excited about what the Jets managed to do last year, and I think it's getting a little bit lost in this dissection of what we need to do to get better. I can't wait to hoist the President's banner, whatever that's going to be. 13 playoff games, nothing to sneeze at. A whole bunch of hardware coming our way, so I think that's positive. Here's a couple of thoughts, though. Mm-hmm. I kind of echo Bo's comment from earlier about the grit. If you look at the Oilers team, they've got a guy on every line who kind of plays over the edge. Frederick, Colson, Kane, and Perry don't love the guys, don't love the character maybe about them either. But when it comes to playoff hockey, I was really bothered, and it was really troubling to see 44 and 55 get abused in the first 2 rounds. And we need guys who can settle the score, and we need guys who can play that level of grit and toughness. So I don't think it's an enforcer, Jim. You're right, but we need guys who can,
But you know what, Fish? That's what Cheveldayoff did with Tanev. People are knocking Tanev because he didn't score any points. Do you know how many shots he blocked? And who was always in somebody's face, and who was always he was always getting assaulted in front of the net because he was going to the net hard and giving an extra shot. The problem is you want somebody like that, but that can produce some points.
Shen very similar.
I also want him to play tough, though, guys, because I like Brandon Tanev as much as the next guy, and I think he's awesome. But when Scheifele got dumped by Shen in the first series, all Tanev did is went in and gave Shen a hug. That's the time where you go in and you give him a couple of rights and you tell him you can't be doing this. The other piece, just a comment on the toughness. I love Lowry as a captain. I think he's a great captain. What an awesome captain. He seems to think his main role is to be the enforcer of the code. His main role every once in a while is to lose his mind and grab somebody and beat them senseless for doing what they're doing to our players. Here's a quick other thought. I want to hear your thoughts on this. You were talking about a second-line center. We all know we need one. I was really impressed with the strides Morgan Barron took this year. I would be very curious to see him as a second-line center as a try as we're looking to find a guy like a Braden Shen.
Yeah, Fish, that's something that's something I look at in the preseason.
I did like him at center. I really liked him at center. I was surprised how much I liked him at center.
Yeah, and that's why you didn't see it.
I don't know second line, but I did like him at center.
We got some I don't think he'd work out as a second line center, but yeah, why not during the preseason? But the team thinks so highly of Morgan Barron is why you didn't see Rasmus Kupari get into the lineup was, of course, he was coming in injured, was because they didn't want to lose Morgan Barron, right? That's why they moved him to center, and he did great. Fish, thanks for the call. Really appreciate it. 204-780-6868. Let's take a break. Let's come back. On the other side, we'll wrap up the show. We'll give away that $50 gift certificate from Boston Pizza.
Frank and Mike, hang on.
And hang on to the line. Don't go anywhere.
680 CJOB.
Well, congratulations to Blaine. He had this call.
Yeah, hey, I was just wanting to add a comment about the playoff run. I think one of the bottom lines too is injuries finally caught up to us, the ones that happened later in the year.
That was Blaine there. That was good enough to be our $50 gift certificate winner from Boston Pizza.
You have a lot of fun with $50 at BP.
That's right.
Trust me.
Miss your chance to get your thoughts on the show today. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at noon. Hotline open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Dig into the new Triple Pep Pizza and Double Trouble Nachos available now only at Boston Pizza. We got time for one more caller. Frank, you're on Jets at noon. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Frank.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey, Frankie.
Hear me out. All
I'm
right?
hearing you out.
Here's what I'm proposing. I'm a season ticket holder, and I think the Jets are now all in. The window is going to close. They probably got a few years to go here to make a run at the cup. Here's what they should do. Okay, you know how teams, they say players, Winnipeg's on their no trade list, blah, blah, blah. Hard to get UFAs here, right?
Yep.
Back in the early 70s, Ben Hatskin got Bobby Hall to come to Winnipeg. How did he do that? With a big fat check for $1 million. So I hope Chevy and Chipper are listening. I propose, I'm being very serious and I want to hear your feedback. Go into this UFA season and you talk to these agents and you tell them, let's say it's Sam Bennett, who I think would be fantastic. You tell these agents, we're going to turn the tables here. Fine. Players don't want to come here, blah, 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 for whatever reason. I will give, let's say Sam Bennett, $1.5 million per year on an AAV more than his best offer on the table. Let's turn the tables on the owners. Let's piss them all off. At the end of the day, you're telling your own roster, I'm in it to win. So yes, if I'm bringing a Sam Bennett, if that's the player, he's going to make more than you, Scheif, whatever. He's making more than Connor. We're all in. Let's do what we have to do. If we're in it to win a cup, let's do what we need to do. I'm serious.
No, Frank, I'm going to pop you on hold because we're almost out of time here, and I know Jim wants to say something about this.
Well, they try to overpay, I think, anyway.
Yeah.
But $1.5 million isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to overpay $4 million. And I'm not kidding. Like, you think Sam Bennett will come here for an extra $1.5 million too? No, he won't. Because he's going to get 5 per anyway. But he'll come for an extra 4 maybe.
Yeah, I think Frank's too is mentioning.
But then you can't pay a third liner more than Scheifele and Hellebuck.
So what Frank too is talking about, like maybe a 1-year deal where you just blow somebody out of the water.
You know what?
You've always talked about that.
When Pietrangelo went to Vegas, I said, because it was the cap and the pandemic, why don't you give him $9 million for 1 year? It fit, and see if he'll come. Now, I think he got 9 in Vegas, didn't he? Or 7. But I was just like, why don't you just offer him $2 million over for 1 or 2 years and see if he'll come? Because they won't come. They'll still go to Vegas.
Jim told to take you all the way till 2 o'clock.
Thanks
very much to
Frank.
Jeffrey Forche. Thanks for all the callers. We'll see you on Monday. See ya.